Hello, friends. So good to be with you today. I appreciate you joining me for this week's Leadership Podcast. I've got something, I want to kind of do something a little bit different, and I won't take very long today. I want to talk to you about developing a bucket list. And I want to talk to you a moment about why that's so important. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that nowadays. I remember the movie that came out before it was Jack Nicklaus and Morgan Freeman, I believe. They had these guys that were, this guy that had developed this bucket list of things he wanted to do, and he scratched them off, and they were just talking about how important that was. But I want to take it a step further, and I want to talk to you about why it's important to you. And it isn't just achieving some great feat. What I'm wanting to talk to you more is developing your bucket list to determine more who you are. That's what a bucket list does for me. It isn't just something that I'm going to go do out someplace. I'm going to go climb that mountain. I'm going to travel to that place. No, it's more of a point of self-discovery. Here's what I've done in my bucket list. I first started off with my name. I wanted to put my name down, Jerry Dean Edmond. And I wanted to find out what the name meant, because here's what I believe. I believe that your name is a prophecy about the direction that your life is going to take. I think it is a prophecy that identifies your purpose. We can see that in stories of the Bible, like Abram, whose name was changed to Abraham. And the reason is because it was the definition of what his assignment was to be. He was to become the father of many nations, the father of a multitude. So I wanted to write down just back to Abraham right quick. Every time they called him, hey, Abraham, come to dinner, they were declaring his purpose by calling his name. Now that's why it's important. So I wanted to know what my name meant. I wanted to try to identify what my name was calling me to. What was the prophecy that my name was fulfilling? So that was the first thing in my bucket list that I write down. I wrote down my name. The second thing I wrote down was my mission statement. Now, here's what it is. I'm called to do this. Spiritually, I'm called to facilitate this. I am this. I'm called to speak. I'm called as a spiritual leader. I'm called as an ambassador. Whatever it is. These are statements about yourself as to what you're called to. Now, it may take you a little while to sit down and determine that. Sometimes you have to meditate, spend some time just trying to process what that looks like. But what it does is it brings clarity. And see, what I'm wanting to show you is here, as I'm starting this, with your name and with your mission statement, this is a statement about you and your identity. Did you know that identity is one of the greatest problems that we grapple with? People struggle with knowing who they are. Now, see, that was the first thing that God did in relationship to you is he established your identity and said, you are this, you are a son, you're a king, you're a priest, you're my child. That's the first thing he's trying to do is to establish your identity. Because if you don't know your identity, you're going to stumble over every little thing in the world that comes against you. And so what I'm wanting to do with my mission statement, even through my name, my mission statement, I said socially, this is what I'm called to do. I even developed a family motto, and my family motto is wisdom and understanding conquers all. That's something I want to pass down. Why? Because that's a statement about me, okay? That's what it is. As a matter of fact, then, after I did that, I came up with something else that I wanted to do. Now, it might sound a little crazy, maybe even a little morbid, but I think it's important. I wrote my obituary. I wrote my obituary, and the reason is I wanted to know this is what I would like at the end of my days to be said concerning my life. Okay, this is what I want people to have thought about me by looking at my accomplishments. So as I'm writing that down, it clarifies and helps bring in order the things that I feel like I'm really called to do. You know, my purpose. This is what I want said about me. And therefore, it kind of sets a direction for me to know I need to behave in this way. I need to accomplish this, or I need to accomplish that. Okay? And so after that, I also wrote down my core values. Now, the Bible said that wisdom has built her house on 7 pillars. I believe that actually is your core values, because it's through your core values that wisdom is expressed. How do I know you have wisdom? Well, by the way you behaved in this situation. So wisdom has built her house on 7 pillars. And so I had to sit down and think, what are my core values? And some of mine were love and wisdom, obviously, worship, family, relationships. And everything I do, I filter through those core values. If it violates the core values, then I don't want to have anything to do with it, because the core values are the definition of my life. So I began to do that. And I think that was really very important for me. Now, I've got a couple of other things that I had done that I think is just a lot of fun. I've given this to quite a few people, but I sit down and wrote down my favorites list. Now, that covered things like you just cannot believe. I go, my favorite author, my favorite basketball team, my favorite book, my favorite city, my favorite camera, my favorite comedian, my favorite color, my favorite, across the board, my favorite music, my favorite musician. Because there was a lot of things like that you could ask me, and I think, I don't know. Someone asked me one time, said, what's your favorite color? And I couldn't answer that. I hadn't thought about it. And isn't it amazing how so many times we know so little about ourselves that we can't even answer the simplest questions about us? See, how can you lead if you don't even know who you are? How can you accomplish the things that you want to do if you don't even know who you are? Okay, so that's very important. I jotted down there 6 people that I would like to have dinner with. Can you name who those 6 people would be? And I'm not talking about just that. Let me say, Jesus should not be in that list, because I want you to think more than that. I want you to think about somebody throughout history. It doesn't have to be, they can be alive or not. But these are things that were very important. Oh, and something else that I did. This was back some time ago, and I'm still working on this. But I started writing down 100 good things that happened in my life. Man, I'll tell you what, and I'm not talking about, well, the sun came out today and wasn't it wonderful? And hey, I got a raise. No, I'm talking about significant things. Things that were maybe not life-changing, but they were significant. The birth of your children, that was important. Surviving this car crash or whatever. The things you purchased that was significant, your first house. These are 100 good things that happened to me. So all of the things that I've told you about centers around this thing right here. It tells who you are. Once you know who you are, it will surprise you how you will move with confidence into what you're supposed to do. We're trying to move into our purpose and we don't even know who we are. So all of the things, now this is before I even got to the thing of saying, I would like to accomplish these things this year. I don't think you need to start getting a bunch of accomplishments until you know who the heck you are. If you don't, if you don't even know who you are, how are you going to go do anything? Come on, our identity is one of the most important features that apply to us when it comes to leadership or moving forward with any sense of purpose. I got to know who I am. If I don't know who I am, I'll always react with caution or hesitation. Well, of course, I don't know who I am. But have you ever seen this time when you've got confidence, man? It is just oozing out your pores. You know who you are. You know how good you are. You know you own that moment. And suddenly you walk in there with a strength that is amazing. But when you don't know who you are, you'll always kind of stutter step. You'll always hesitate. This is important in your leadership skills. One of the first things is to know who you are. So I want to encourage you as you begin to look at your bucket list of things you're wanting to accomplish in life, to begin it with these things that I just mentioned to you that establishes not just where you're going, but it establishes who you are. Once I know who I am, then where I'm going becomes clear, and I can be much more confident in what God has placed in my hands when I know who I am. I know I belong there. I know that. And that has a tremendous impact on your leadership. So why don't you do that today? Why don't you consider starting a bucket list with these things that I've mentioned, and it'll surprise you some of the fun things, amazing things that you'll find out about yourself. Well, that's very important for your leadership. Thank you for joining me today. I want to help sharpen your edge. I want to help move you along, and I hope that this urging for identity will take root in your heart. This is really very important. I appreciate you joining me. Now, I've got a lot of other resources that you can go to with my website, jerryedmond.com. Or if you want to leave me a note, please do so. Send me a message. I've got a lot of just books, resources, things that I think you'll enjoy, okay? Thank you for being with me. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being my friend. And I really mean that. And I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to help you move to the next level. I'm going to tell you something. I believe in you. I do. I believe in you. So come on, let's go for it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.